very good afternoon to you, Nzinga, and to our viewers at home. We're coming to you live from outside Treasury. That is where public sector workers have launched a demonstration today. It's a picket ahead of the budget speech that will be delivered in the afternoon. This afternoon by the Finance Minister. Madiba Street is closed off to traffic here in Pretoria. This as the members of COSATU, SABC and the South African Policing Union just trickle into this street here to try and more or less unite in trying by all means to understand what is going to come out of the budget speech by the Finance Minister later on. Most of them are taking issue with the fact that the budget has been cut over time. The budget of those apex or priority departments like your health, your education, your police. Most of them saying that year in, year out, they've experienced budget cuts, and they're looking to the Finance Minister this time around to ensure that he doesn't implement any austerity that is going to be at the expense of the workers, also coming through at a time in Zinga whereby at this point in time the workers are disgruntled. They've launched a dispute with the employer, and today they'll be serving the employer with that strike to go with a notice to go on an indefinite strike action in 7 days time. But the person that is well positioned to give us this just a glimpse of what we can expect here today and in Cape Town is Mr. December Mafuso. He's from Nehau. He's coming through as the Deputy General Secretary of Nehau, just to give us a sense of what we can expect here. We are seeing that your members are gathering in their numbers here, just anticipating what is to come of that budget speech by the Finance Minister. What would you like to hear later on when it takes to the podium?
Well, thank you very much. The first thing, we're here because we want to remind the Minister that he owes workers. Government owes workers their money from the Resolution 1 of 2018. If you remember that they decided not to pay, they owe money last year because they decided to implement the 3% that was not agreed to by workers. Therefore, as he delivered the budget speech, we want him to remember that whatever he puts on the table, he needs to make a provision for the money that he owes workers. At the same time, make a provision for the next round of wage negotiation. But we're not narrowly looking at the issue of the percentage increase and so on. The public service is collapsing because of the austerity measures that are implemented. Austerity measures means cut in spending. The baseline budget of department like health, like education, it has been reduced over years. Since 2019, with these measures that were implemented by Tito Mboweni, government has saved 300 billion. So the 13 billion that they owe workers for 2018 they can afford it. We're here to say we want that money, and we expect him to address that particular issue, but address the issue of resourcing the public service, the frontline departments of health, of education, police, because as things stand today, the DPSA has confirmed that there's 165,000 vacancies in the public service that are not filled every time workers retire, every time people resign. So we're overextending ourselves as workers. We're exhausted because of the workload, but we're not also paid overtime. So that's where we are. So as I'm saying, we're just not narrowly looking at the working conditions of workers, but the working conditions of workers are also important for the delivery of quality public services.
Yeah, but you are delivering this memorandum here. I would like to understand to the boss that is in Parliament later on today. Just let us in on that delivery of a memorandum, and we know very well that today kicks off that 7 days where you'll be serving the employer with a notice to go on strike.
Well, here in Pretoria, we are gathering here in support of what's happening in Cape Town, because that's our main action there, where the memorandum will be delivered outside the venue where the minister is going to be delivering the budget at 2 o'clock. So we are here in solidarity with our workers in Cape Town. So at 1 o'clock, we expect the memorandum to be delivered in Cape Town before 2 o'clock the minister speaks. So that's the reason we are gathered here today.
We hear that the wage bill has been ballooning over time. This is something that government has been working to try and manage, and most of these austerity measures and some of the implementations that they tend to give year in, year out would be to respond to that public wage bill that has been ballooning over time. What would be your response to that?
Well, that's a fallacy. Last year, when we met at the Public Service Summit with government, DPSA for the first time accepted that the public service is not bloated. Now, that's the discussion we started last year. And with the vacancy rates that we have, you can't make that argument. In fact, one of the things we agreed last year we must do, that in South Africa there's no agreement in terms of what is the acceptable head count of employees versus the population in their respective departments in terms of service delivery or frontline departments, of health. The ratios in terms of nurses, the ratios in terms of doctors, patients, and so on, including the ratios in terms of police and the population they're serving, the ratios in terms of educators and learners. That has not been fully agreed. It's a discussion we started last year. So it's not correct that the wage bill is bloated. They made that admission last year. It's recorded in the outcomes of the Public Service Summit. So we've agreed that we're going to have continuous engagement regarding those particular issues. So we don't expect the minister to talk about that because that will be completely a departure from the discussions we had last year.
All right, December Mavuso, thank you very much, sir, for your time coming through there from Nehau, just giving us a sense of what we can expect here. That public wage bill, we are told, is at around 680 billion rand, and it's ballooning. But this unions here saying that is a fallacy, and they are willing to engage with the employer. They're going to be serving a memorandum to go on a strike action in 7 days' time. That is where they'll be withdrawing their labor. Also, Nzinga, to notice is the fact that they've abandoned processes to just embark on a fresh round of talks for the year 2024 financial year. They're saying they want whatever is implemented here to be backdated to 2022. They're calling for a 10% or the withdrawal of their services. And Nzinga?